I got a treat for you. Welcome, everyone, to the Transform Recruiting Podcast. We have our very first ever returning guest. Mr. Kevin O'Neill is here with us again. Kevin, welcome back, man.
Yeah, morning, Brad. Thanks. Really good to be back.
Yet
Nice to
again,
be.
another. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
nice to be the first returning guest.
See, there you go. It must be an important reason, and that reason is we have the whole tagline that it's the people, ideas, and tech that are transforming the recruiting industry, and the guy that does technology research for the SIA. I mean, that's kind of a good person for us to know here. So we appreciate you coming back. I knew, I guess, that you had just released a new research paper. I wanted to have you come on, give some people some insight into what it's all about, why they may want to go read it, how it's shaping things. And yeah, just kind of get your overall thoughts on what you found. So, straight off, let me give everyone the title here. So, Staffing Platforms as a Service, the Global Landscape for 2023. So, what in the world is a staffing platform as a service?
I guess I could tell you a little bit about where the term came from. SIA has been looking at the temporary staffing platforms themselves for a number of years. Brian Wallens, one of my colleagues, has been putting out research papers on that topic, which covers the kind of full gamut of platforms that are used in the staffing industry and in the I guess how'd you put it, with buyers as well. So, leaving out staffing companies. But these platforms, he coined the phrase staffing platforms as a service, and these are out of the box solutions provided by vendors that staffing companies can use to create, I guess, marketplaces between the talent, the buyers, and the staffing company. And they can automate processes so that there is very little human intervention if required. The candidates or the talent can self-serve, and it's an on-demand platform.
Got it. So if someone who is searching for a job shows up at one of these that this organization, this staffing organization, this recruiting organization has purchased, they may be able to both find, qualify themselves for, and then accept a new job. Is that what we're anticipating here?
Correct. They might be able to go through the end-to-end process, or portions of it without the intervention of the recruiter, or there may be parts of the process that require the recruiter to be involved.
Sure. I mean, there's always those compliance things that we know and love around here.
Correct.
So from a organization perspective, from our customer, some client that we're going after that may have staffing needs, do they interact with this kind of platform?
Yeah, they can do so. Often they would have a portal that, or an app that the buyer or the company, the client uses. So they would interact with it as well.
Got it. So at the really large enterprise level of folks that we've actually had come on this show and talk, we some of the differentiators that they are setting themselves up with are these types of these platforms, that ability to take almost that recruiterless future that we've all been hoping that wouldn't happen. They've been taking bits and pieces of this, trying to implement this into their business. The ones that we're talking about now are things that would be potentially available completely out of the box. So someone would purchase this program or this software, and all of a sudden, 2 days from now, they'd be up and rolling. Is that what we're hoping?
Probably a little bit longer than 2 days. I think some
Sure.
of these processes are fairly complicated to automate, but effectively, yeah, they should be able to procure either as part of their current front and back office tech stack, or as a completely new product that clicks in, and then by extension create that sort of functionality for the various players in that marketplace.
This is really interesting. Okay. So you mentioned that there were quite a number of ones that you ended up looking at. What was the total landscape?
I think we found around about 33 vendors that provided SPAS solutions, and we've got about 17 that have participated in the report. And to participate, they provide a survey and a demo so that we get quite a lot of detail on the products.
Oh, that's comprehensive still. I mean, that's 50-ish, over 50-ish%. That's quite
Yeah.
a large sample size. So, what kind of large takeaways do you feel like you had without giving away the whole article?
Well, there's quite a lot of detail in the report, which drills down into the functionality of the applications themselves. But just at a high level, we've got front and back office vendors that are extending that have new products that can extend their stack into the SPAS area. You've got tech players that have created solutions coming from the directly into the SPAS platform, and they may well be extending some of the functionality a bit deeper into the stack. And then you've got a VMS player who then is bringing an SPAS solution. So there's a fair mixture of types of solutions there. A lot of them have a workforce planning capability. A lot of them will have quite well developed apps, particularly for the talent side. So quite a mixture of solutions. It's not. I guess the key takeaway is it's not a homogenous market where everything's the same. There is lots of fit for purpose solutions and lots of bespoke solutions that might be suitable in different circumstances.
I like that. I like how these types of technologies, I mean, when they start, they normally are very niche focused. There's not someone that really knows enough to have a across the board, this will work for everyone. I mean, maybe eventually we'll get to something like that. But it's really nice that in the early days of these types of technologies, we normally have something that each individual organization themselves can go out and select what's right for them rather than everyone using the same kind of thing.
Yeah, that's correct. There's solutions for companies that only want to automate part of the process. There's solutions that for companies that want to still have a heavy recruiter involvement in the process. There's solutions for companies in the sales that have already got Salesforce well embedded in their front and back office. So it's really quite a broad playing field, but really interesting and clever solutions that have been put in place and that are available to staffing companies.
I like it. That's very interesting. I've always, one of the very first episodes here, I was talking with people about my uh, thoughts about where the market's going to go and where staffing and recruiting is going to go in general. And I always use the same metaphor, and it feels like it applies here. It's right now, all of our recruiters are typically acting like flight attendants on a flight. They sit there and they ask the same question over and over again, and they're going along the rows, and it just gets quite repetitive. But if we were to think of our recruiters or sources or whatever it might be as more air traffic controllers, where there could be all of this activity going on something like a staffing platform as a service, and then they get involved when they need to, when they have that part of the process. This seems like the type of technology that would start to enable that for organizations that don't have that software expertise, that development expertise.
Yeah, that's a really good analogy, Brad. I hadn't actually thought of that, but some of the consoles that you see as part of these SPAS solutions actually probably bring that in mind. You've got workforce planning screens. You've got reporting information coming in, and lots of stuff happening in real time. So jobs being filled, jobs coming in, with the recruiter having to intervene whenever it requires some more depth of knowledge, or whether they've got to solve a problem or something like that. So yeah, it's probably a pretty good analogy. Yeah, that air traffic controlling recruiters. That's probably about it.
There you go. And I like that it's starting to turn more using best practices from other areas of business. I'm starting to see that, hey, anything that you need to handle issues at scale, Customer service has been doing this for years. Anything you need to get out there at scale or advertise to people or whatever, marketing has been doing that for years. So it's nice to take a page out of the best practice playbooks around self-service and customer service and start applying that to our types of businesses. It's really nice to see them start to uh, create these changes and changes for the better for themselves. I like it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. There's been some of these SPAS solutions have been around in one form and another for quite some time, and they've had multiple iterations of feedback, so they've certainly picked up a lot of that best practice that comes from some of those other industries. Others are quite new, so they're benefiting from, I guess, the more contemporary technology in order to put their systems in place. So you've got a mixture of both of those, the experience and the and the newer technology coupled with the best practices from other industries.
I like it. One of the things that I'm really curious about, and I'm curious to see what you saw from a customization aspect. One of the holdouts that I've been talking to that wants to set something like this up but doesn't think a bespoke technology is for them. What are organizations able to do from a differentiation aspect? Because if they're all using the same technology, what's their competitive advantage?
Well, it's a really good question. Um, you can customize the workflows in in these applications, and you can bring the recruiter in at different parts of the process wherever you feel that the recruiter is going to make um, more more impact. But the differentiation, I guess, is been able to have the right sort of jobs, recruit the talent quickly, so they get a really good mobile experience, and be able to fill roles quickly that the talent is looking for in the areas that they're looking for. Those are the kind of differentiators, and whether those are only part of the technology or whether those are also part of the way that the recruitment company interacts with their talent and their clients and the sort of clients that they have is probably it's probably a mixture of both of those. So you're differentiating things in probably a different way. I mean, a good mobile app is a good mobile app, but there are still levels of good, amongst that. So, looking at how those that functionality, and it can be quite complex functionality, is brought in and delivered to the end user is still really quite important and still a differentiator in this market, I think.
Sure. If DoorDash wanted to white label their technology and I can present candidates the exact same way, I don't care if it's DoorDash's or not. I'm using it. That
Yeah.
would be amazing. So that's really good. Okay. Where can everyone find this piece of amazing research that you put together?
So the report is on the SIA site, Staffing Platforms as a Service Global Landscape 2023. It was published about 2 weeks ago. So if you remember, you can go to that site and have a look at that report and other background reports on temporary staffing platforms as well.
Perfect. Staffingindustry.com. I think the publishing date I'm seeing here is April 25th of 2023.
Correct.
Perfect. All right. Well, any parting thoughts of wisdom that you want people to know and reasons to go read this?
No, look, it's a really interesting and it's a fast developing area, and it will be really interesting in the future to see how uh, staffing firms kind of deal with this whole combination of technology. They need an omni-channel approach, so bringing all the different channels together. How AI then plays into it, how staffing platforms as a service develop, and how staffing platforms then start to incorporate AI into their offerings. So it's fast moving, and I expect the next time we do the report in 12 months' time, there'll be more of these platforms, and they'll be doing a lot more. Yeah, it's a good time to be in recruitment. A very interesting time, I think.
Yeah, and on that, AI doesn't work unless it has something to learn from. So now that we have more of these platforms creating more of these transactions that we can then build models on top of, I just think this is going to accelerate way faster than we think is possible. So I'm excited about it. I appreciate you coming on and telling us a little bit about what's in the report. I will send everyone the link here in the show notes. You can find those at transformrecruiting.com. We'll point you straight towards staffingindustry.com to this article so you can go see it. Kevin, I really appreciate you coming on, giving us more of your knowledge. We appreciate it. And we'll see you when the next one comes out. Thank you so much.
And thanks, Brad, for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, y'all. So if you want to see more episodes like this, it's transformrecruiting.com. Send me an email, hello@bradowens.com, and I'll catch you on the next one.